Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning.
Good morning, Tundu. Welcome back after one day break. Good morning, Leila. Let's start with these day newspapers. The lead story, Borno governor. Nigeria needs 100,000 more soldiers to crush Boko Haram. Wants 50,000 recruited from Borno, urges Buhari to revisit the 2016-2017 military strategy to defeat insurgency. Now, yesterday, the governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Zulum, made a statement while receiving members of the House Committee on Defense, if they are looking for solution. Because after the return from break, there was this zealousness at the National Assembly to bring insecurity to an end. Now, this is a solution being profiled by the Borno State governor, and he should know. And clearly he is saying that we don't have enough manpower on ground to overrun these terrorists. And he uses the word insurgency. So we should recruit more. Why that is not a prescription from the military high command, or whether they have done that and the government is not responding, we don't know. But he has gone ahead to add that 50,000 of that should come from Borno State. Whether they are educated or not, of course, they can be used as ground forces. But of course, we know that in the constitution we have federal character. So if Borno take 50,000, I don't know what happens to the federal character. He should know better that we have a federal character policy in the country enshrined in the constitution. But the point he has made, which we must take very seriously, is that we don't have enough manpower. And he went further to say, we don't even have enough equipment to deal with these Boko Haram terrorists.
Well, I think Professor Babagana Zulum should be commended for the continuous manner in which he shows interest in what is happening in his own territory, Borno State, or the northeastern part of the country. You will recall that, whenever there is any problem, sometimes he even goes to the scene of the crisis, even before the law enforcement or security agencies. Either on one occasion, when he had to confront soldiers whom he accused of extorting money from motorists, or when the incident in Auno occurred, he went straight to the place to commiserate with the victims, and he has continually engaged, the Nigerian army, drawing their attention to what needs to be done to be able to win the war in that part of the country. That's one. The second thing, yes, he's talking about need for more personnel and equipment, and he provides a solution that, the Nigerian army needs up to about 100,000 people in that theater of operation alone. Well, the truth of the matter, as we hear, is that the Nigerian army has a staff strength of about 150,000. So how do you send 100,000? Or you recruit 100,000 overnight? You recall that it takes some time to train a soldier, and invest in a soldier.
Yeah, you train them and equip them.
And there are processes for doing that. Now, he says he can supply 50,000 of that 100,000. Well, let's draw Professor Zulum's attention to the fact that in that state, he already has in place a vigilante group that is also involved in the prosecution of the war against Boko Haram. Maybe you should consider the idea of setting up, upgrading that vigilante group, or setting up a security network similar to Operation Amotekun that can collaborate with the military to prosecute the war. But the principal point that he has made is that a lot more needs to be done, right? And that he, as Chief Security Officer in Borno State, he is willing to offer ideas and cooperate with the military to see how the problem can be solved. But we may also go beyond personnel and equipment. How about welfare? How about motivation? How about leadership? However, following basic procedures, all of these issues that have been raised as part of the problem or the challenges in the prosecution of the war against terror by the Nigerian military.
So, whether a lot more need to be done or we are not doing enough, it's a matter of whether the glass is half full or half empty. Well, let's move on to the Vanguard newspaper. Yes, Delta herdsmen killings. Lack of funds stalled autopsy of 6 exhumed corpses. Soldiers threaten to destroy our community. Professor Mobogare. Our people can't go to farms. Uweru Community President General. Don't come near Isoko land. The Isoko Development Union tears killer herdsmen. 2 killed in suspected herdsmen by suspected herdsmen in Edo. Now, still on this issue of persons killed by herdsmen in Uweru community, that's in Ugeli North local government area of Delta State. Because the police commissioner, Abinishio, said, I don't believe you, that people were killed. Show me evidence. They exhumed. In fact, one of the leaders of the community, this Professor Patrick Mobogare, is saying that, in fact, the soldiers in the area threatened to raise down the community if they don't provide evidence that herders were killed. So it makes you to wonder.
Farmers were killed.
That farmers were killed. It makes you wonder whether these soldiers are there to back and protect these herders. And that is what the people seem to be believing. Going by the way the army is responding, the commissioner of police is responding. Now they have exhumed these bodies. They say, oh, we need to do autopsy. And they are saying there's no fund to do
autopsy. How much is an autopsy?
No, there's no fund to do autopsy.
I can't believe that.
And why is an autopsy even necessary?
This is really
awful.
Is it to do this autopsy?
It's awful.
The man who is investigating, who wants to confirm that indeed these people were killed by herdsmen, should fund the autopsy.
That's a very poor excuse to give in a
No,
matter of national
except
security.
that in law, you who alleges must prove.
No.
But this is policing. This is
no,
policing.
this police, they are not in court.
Imagine ringing your neighborhood police station and saying, oh, an incident has happened, and they tell you, well, present the proof before we come. It's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous.
No, initially they said they want to see the bodies, so they went as far as exhuming the bodies.
Now they want to autopsy. I mean, it's ridiculous. It is clear, it's quite clear that there's been a deliberate ploy to sweep this under the carpet.
And like our guest said as well, there are obvious ways in which you can check that there is evidence without having to exhume bodies. If over 100 motorbikes are sweeping into one area at a time,
it's
you can't track them.
It's awful.
Well, before this particular incident, we've had similar incidents in different parts of Delta states. And this allegation of protectionism by security agencies for these herders has always been part of the allegation. But from what we are seeing now,
it's not obvious.
It's not obvious that they seem to have some other motives other than protecting the generality of the citizenry in the area.
It's obvious.
Whether you are herder or
the most scandalous part of the story is the absolute disrespect for human lives. That has been demonstrated by the police authorities in Delta State.
It is disgraceful.
First, when the report was made that about 6 people had been killed, was it not the same police commissioner that said only one person died?
Only one, yes. So it was then insisted that, okay, show me the proof if there are more than one.
Then they exhumed the bodies.
They had to exhume the bodies. And even the soldiers threatening the community, if you don't provide the evidence, we'll wipe out your community.
Imagine.
So who are those soldiers loyal to? Are they loyal to the Nigerian state? Or they are loyal to a group?
Especially because this is a matter of national security.
It's completely unacceptable.
Well, let's move on to other stories.
Anyway, the state governor has one option. He can take up the matter at the higher level. I mean, protest directly to the Inspector General of Police to call his man on the ground in Delta State to order to do his work as he should.
Well, I hope that...
And not to get involved in politics.
I hope
where human lives are involved.
I hope that would work.
But at least let him put it on record.
Yes. Now let's move on to the Nation newspaper. Lead story, Disco's license is likely for revocation over poor power. Problem of electricity supply is distribution. Minister, Federal Executive Council to decide firm's fate. And Daily Sun has similar story. Government, World Bank approves 2.2 billion loan for Nigeria. Then government descends on discos, stops subsidy, brands them failures to decide their fate soon. Well, the issue of electricity after the unbundling done by the Jonathan administration and the partial privatization of these components of the electricity supply chain, the discos, the gencos, and we still hear all sorts of complaints. In the last 4 years, we heard of improvements were inundated daily or monthly or weekly by the then minister in charge of power, Babatunde Fashola, about how we are generating so much. And, but we cannot distribute, or the gencos cannot take so much, and we are still hearing that kind of complaints. Can't we think out of the box? If the distribution network is what we need to improve, so that if we generate 7,000 megawatts, we distribute 7,000 megawatts, instead of a situation where we generate, according to this minister, we can generate 13, we are generating 7,000, we are distributing 3, and they are paying for only 1. So, kinds of stories.
Well, I just hope that at the end of the day, this is not just a case of scaremongering, because every time either the Ministry of Power or the Electricity Regulatory Commission or now the minister himself, threatens this discourse. There was a time the NERC even gave a deadline, an ultimatum, that if they did not take certain steps, the licenses will be withdrawn. And now we're told it will be given to Siemens. Will Siemens be ready to assume liabilities? Will Siemens have the money to buy discos and distribution assets across the country? So I think the minister is just involved in scaremongering. I don't think it will happen.
But we need solutions to the
Solutions. Thank you, Mr. Efeni.
Thank you very much.